Hey everyone, Alex here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to emotionally detach from everything. So, here's the first thing you need to know. There are a few different definitions of what emotional attachment is. Here, we're not just talking about healthy feelings of closeness in a relationship or attachment theory. In this context, we could say that emotional attachment is when your emotions, i.e. the way you feel, are attached to a particular thing, situation, or a particular person. In that your emotional sense of well-being is dependent on a particular situation being or going a certain way, or your emotional sense of well-being is dependent on a particular person and what they do. And so the second thing to know is that, to a degree, this is of course normal. When you thought something was going to go a certain way and it didn't, there may be some feelings of disappointment. And when someone who you feel really close to leaves or does something very unkind or unloving or appears to betray your trust, it can deeply, deeply hurt. Experiencing emotions in response to things is normal and healthy, but you're probably here because you feel particularly pulled around or disturbed by your emotional reactions and feel there could be something deeper to look at so you can feel more emotional freedom. Many of our emotional attachment patterns formed in childhood for good reason. Perhaps you feel extreme anxiety and feel compelled to behave in a particular way every time there appears to be a possibility that your partner might leave. Because in childhood, your caregivers often did leave, either physically or emotionally. And so you developed survival strategies in an attempt to not be abandoned or to get love again. And your body-mind system tried to save you energy by making a strong emotional association to situations where it seems like you might be abandoned. Instead of you having to think about it all the time, an emotional response is triggered to propel you to behave in a certain way as an attempt to stay safe or get love. But now you're an adult. Certain situations with certain people trigger these intense feelings and you feel compelled to lash out, run away, or freeze. And when it's really the case, you don't want to feel like a prisoner to what someone else does. You want to be emotionally detached. For some reason, and for some people, the fear experienced in childhood was so intense, or certain emotions were so suppressed and not allowed to be fully seen. And even if mentally all is forgiven, these events left the nervous system in a dysregulated state, which now affects thinking and behavior. Other emotional attachments are formed later on in life when we place our peace and happiness on some kind of external situation or person. Perhaps you get excited about something, winning that prize, getting that relationship, money or business success, or a certain state of health. And there's this notion somewhere in your mind that when I get the thing, I'm going to feel so good. I'm going to be so happy. But this is 180 degrees to reality. For sure, we can get a lot of enjoyment from things, and there's so much fun and joy to be had in a loving relationship. But really, it's just connecting us and exposing the peace and happiness that we already are. It's the joy of sharing what's already inside of us, what's already our nature. Everything on the external is in what we could call the world of form, and form is temporary. People, things, and situations come and go. And so if you completely depend your peace and happiness on these external things, when they go, your peace and happiness goes with it. And so Of course, it's easy to form attachments to things. We have a whole world of capitalistic conditioning telling us we need all this shit in our life to be happy. And that we need our lives to be in a particular way at a particular time, that by a particular age we need a certain amount of money, or a wife and kids, or a house, or a certain type of car. And if we don't have that, we might feel behind in life and not good enough or not successful enough. Or perhaps you feel you're just a passionate person and you feel, of course you get your emotions involved in things because you give life all you've got. You're just a passionate person, and so letdowns are highly disappointing. Maybe you get attached to a particular outcome, and if that outcome doesn't manifest, then you're unhappy. So the next thing to know to be emotionally detached is that lasting peace and happiness can never be found by having a particular thing, a particular state of affairs, large sums of money, or the ideal relationship. Peace and happiness aren't really emotions as such. They're not things that you can sustainably achieve from an external state of external circumstances. True peace and happiness are found within. More accurately, they are the nature of your being. They are who you are at your core. You know, we've all heard of the suicidal, depressed millionaire with the wife and kids, and the happy, single, poor person who has almost nothing externally but a whole load of inner wealth. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming emotionless, being cold, or disconnected from your feelings. The inner peace that we're calling emotional detachment here is really felt when your emotions have been fully seen and processed. And when they're not fully seen and processed, they get kind of stuck in the body as emotional stuckness, density, tension, and a dysregulated nervous system. And when your emotions aren't fully felt, you can get stuck along this emotional arc. When the hurt, sadness, or grief of a loss isn't fully felt, you can get stuck in the anger, anxiety, fear, or panic. Think about it. Maybe you've had a friend who was going through a breakup and they were very emotionally attached to their ex. And then they have a talk about it and a good cry, and afterwards they feel better. Suddenly, their whole attitude begins to change and they don't seem to care so much about the relationship anymore. They seem to have psychologically and emotionally moved on and detached, even just a little bit, step by step. So to emotionally detach, you don't want to be detached from your feelings. Instead, as you feel safe to do so, welcome them. I used to think that you could bypass emotions by simply not thinking about the situation and staying present. But then I realized that's just spiritual bypassing, and these emotions just get stuck in the body where they wreak havoc with your thinking and behavior, and these stuck emotions eventually manifest as poor mental health and physical disease. Emotional attachment isn't about pushing down, suppressing, running away from, or ignoring, or getting rid of emotions. It's being able to experience the full spectrum of emotions whilst knowing they cannot disturb who you fundamentally are. And you see that clearly, that they cannot disturb who you fundamentally are, by seeing that throughout your whole life, feelings have come and gone. Even intense feelings have come and gone. But they have never disturbed this beingness, this awareness that you essentially are. When you believe that you're just a person and this idea of yourself in your mind with a past and a story, you're going to feel emotionally attached to everything. There's often a lot of disturbance in the mind activity. A lot of notions that things aren't right, and the mind activity often seeks to escape what's really present, and what's really here to be felt. Emotional detachment is about seeing clearly and knowing that you're not just a person and this mind-made sense of self. You're much more than that. You're the consciousness that gives rise to this whole experience. You're the awareness that this whole drama unfolds as. And what feeling has ever harmed awareness? What feeling has ever harmed what you essentially are? Your being is like the sky, and the feelings are like storm clouds. Maybe sometimes you can't even see the sky because there's too many storm clouds. But it's still there, right? It's still the whole wide open space that the storm clouds appear within. And when the clouds have dissipated, you can clearly see that the sky remains unharmed and untouched. And in order for those storm clouds to clear, they must be fully seen and processed, and then they will leave to expose the bright blue sky and embody emotional detachment. And this can happen in many ways, from talking to certain kinds of therapies or coaching, writing, journaling, or sometimes just simply welcoming them and allowing them to pass. So to summarize, unhealthy emotional attachment is when your sense of well-being is unhealthily attached to things, situations, or people. These emotional attachment patterns can form early in life, and emotional attachments form in adulthood when we place our peace and happiness on external things and a particular outcome. So to emotionally detach, know that lasting peace or happiness can never be found in a particular external circumstance. They are, in fact, aspects of who you are at your core. And that is revealed and seen when the storm clouds of disturbing feelings clear. And the storm clouds are cleared by welcoming and processing our feelings. And so that concludes the video. I hope this video helped clarify things for you. If you're interested in going deeper, enrollment is open for the Awaken Aware program. Before you go, a little bit of information. This program is designed to help you overcome fear patterns and unhealthy emotional attachments. I designed it with science-based tools and a holistic approach informed by non-duality to deepen peace, clarity, and reveal the peace of your true nature. Perhaps you want to do something that positively influences the world, but realize that outer change starts from within, right? So this program was also created to help you engage in the world from a place of peace and love and do things that bring more peace and love to the world. So if that interests you, head over to speaktoalex.com, where there'll be a quick quiz to fill in about your desires and challenges, and then you can book a time to speak to us about, whether you'd be a good fit for the program. And if so, we'll take it from there. That's speaktoalex.com. Peace and blessings. Love you all. Peace.